What on earth is happening with CBC and Travis Dhanraj? Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. It's more than 3 weeks ago that Dhanraj resigned from CBC. He did it in spectacular form, and yet CBC still says, well, he's an employee of ours. I confirmed that with the CBC spokesperson this week. 3 weeks after you publicly resign and denounce your employer, they are still hanging on to him for dear life. Here's what Dhanraj said at the time in a story broken right here at the Toronto Sun. He said, this is an involuntary resignation. I am stepping down not by choice, but because the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has made it impossible for me to continue my work with integrity. Dhanraj went on, what happens behind the scenes at CBC too often contradict what's shown to the public. Performative diversity, tokenism, a system designed to elevate certain voices and diminish others. You would think that that would lead to the end of it. You wouldn't want a guy like that sticking around. He's denouncing you. But no, they want to hold on to him. Look, Dhanraj was recruited to go to CBC. He'd been at Global. Before that, he'd been with Bell Media. CBC sought him out. They put him on Parliament Hill. They put him on Marketplace. Then they built a 2-hour primetime show around him with his name in it, Canada Tonight with Travis Dhanraj. But after he questioned Catherine Tate, the then CEO of CBC, about her decision to continue to hand out bonuses while cutting jobs and what was CBC going to do with newfound money that they had, well, after that, he asked for an interview. She declined. He posted about it on X, and he was hauled before disciplinary hearings. He was off the air for almost 2 weeks as a result of this, and we've now obtained some of the video from those meetings. Here is Andrea Lau. She is one of the top CBC journalists. She was overseeing Dhanraj and his show. She's in charge of digital platforms and streaming, and she's questioning him about public reaction to his X post saying the CEO turned down our interview request.
Are you aware of the public reaction your post has elicited to you?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that?
There's a comment.
What's your understanding of the concern from the public?
I think that there's a conversation going on right now about the money and what's happening with the money and Catherine Tate and why she's not doing an interview, et cetera, et cetera. So there is public pressure building on Catherine Tate to perhaps do an interview with her own broadcaster or a broadcaster to give some transparency around the money.
Now, that's bad enough because Lau is someone who works on the journalism side. She doesn't work in the corporate side where she's worried about the reputation of the state broadcaster. She is a journalist. This whole story about CBC and its budgets and job cuts and bonuses, this was very much up for discussion across the media, not just by CBC, but by other media outlets at all. It was a legitimate story, and Dhanraj was asking legitimate questions, or wanted to. But after posting that he was turned down for an interview, they didn't like the public reaction. And so you've got a journalist, someone who is in charge of journalists, who oversees their work and is supposed to be separate from the corporate side, according to CBC's standards and practices. Well, you've got this woman basically prosecuting Dhanraj over how other people reacted online. Here's more.
Are you aware of other responses that include shots fired from within? Dhanraj tells on his CBC boss Tate to refuse to interview by the CBC.
Am I being held responsible now for other people's tweets?
Well, I'm just asking if you're aware of the responses.
Sure. I've read the responses. It has, I think, 260,000 views so far.
Responses like, in one post, you've just made the strongest argument for defunding CBC I've ever read. You're aware of those?
Is that problematic?
I'm just asking if you're aware of those responses.
I'm well aware of the responses.
And are you aware of the National Post article by Tristan Hopper published this week that features your post? It was a screen grab of your X post.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am.
Hotline says, here's Travis Dhanraj complaining on social media about being snubbed for an interview. So effectively, he was calling out his boss for not being transparent enough about what she plans to do with the extra $42 million. Do you understand the impact of your post on both the CBC?
This is really problematic and shows the lengths that CBC is going to go to defend themselves, to also, put forward an image that isn't quite right with what they claim publicly. They claim that this sort of thing would never happen, that they have processes in place to stop it. They are beyond reproach, except they're not. And this is an issue. On top of that, Catherine Tate said before a parliamentary committee that she was never briefed on Dhanraj or his disappearance or his disciplinary actions. And yet, documents that we've obtained through access to information show she was briefed just before the parliamentary committee. She was told all about it. Most of what she was told was redacted, but it's clear Dhanraj was part of the conversation. CBC is rotten to the core. I think that I've been showing that for a long time, but this Dhanraj incident really spells that out for people. This is a problem. And the Carney government, rather than looking for reform at CBC, they've just offered to give them $150 million more each year just to pad their bottom line. At a time when other media outlets are struggling, CBC is getting more money from the government, and they're doing their best to reward the government with positive liberal coverage. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.